Do you like living alone or do you hate it? Hi, I'm Michelle. Welcome to My Life Over 60. I live alone and I have for quite a while now. Most of the time, I love it, but sometimes I do get lonely. The reality is that it's a mix of freedom, responsibility, and moments of both joy and loneliness. Like everything in life, it's a balance. Nothing is all good and nothing is all bad. So let's talk about what it really means to live alone. I've been divorced twice and had boyfriends come and go. I was a single mother of 2 daughters. My home has been filled with love and laughter and joy and fun and lots of other drama that I don't think we want to talk about. But for the last 12 years, it's just been me. And for the last 8 or so years, my home has been pretty quiet with just a few visitors other than my beautiful grandchildren who I love so much and who fill my home with such joy and love and laughter when they visit that it just seems so extra quiet when they go. I never thought that I would be alone at this stage of my life. And I think a lot of women feel that way, especially those where it was not their choice. Life happened and all of a sudden they were alone. That can be hard to deal with, especially when you're used to having someone around to count on. My mom is a good example. My dad passed away when they had been married for almost 50 years. She had counted on him her whole life, and now he was gone. That has to be quite an adjustment. When all of a sudden, everything is your responsibility, and there is no one there to rescue you. Losing someone can feel like there is a piece of you missing, and those are feelings that have to be dealt with. You can't just push them away, and you can't just go on as if nothing happened. And it can be the same thing if you've gone through a divorce. So that needs to be said because no YouTube video is going to heal our wounds. There is no easy way around that one. But having said that, even if this is your circumstance, maybe this video can help you as you start to manage living on your own. There are lots of wonderful aspects of living alone. I think one of the best things is that I have to answer to no one but myself. I eat when I want, I sleep when I want, I have complete control of the remote, I decorate how I want, and I buy exactly what I want. I get to do whatever I want to do without having to compromise. Things are right where I left them. I don't have to put up with anyone else's quirks or wants or desires. And most of all, there is no drama that I have to deal with from another person on a daily basis. The freedom to do what I want and to live in peace and solitude is a gift. Now, having said that, I like myself and I enjoy spending time with myself. I have known many women and men who will do anything to not be by themselves. They'll accept invitations from people they don't even like. They'll do things they don't want to do. And it's all because they will do anything at all to not be alone. I really feel bad for them because I feel they haven't learned to like themselves enough to feel that their company is enough. So I would say, first of all, that is crucial to learn to love yourself. I also romanticize my life and I eat on good dishes and I light my good candles and I sleep on the softest and most luxurious of sheets. I fill my home with music and I sing out loud and I dance around and it lifts my mood and it makes me happy. I pamper myself in any way I can. I have lots of hobbies that keep me busy, or I can do absolutely nothing at all. I can wander in my garden or just sit and daydream with a cup of tea. I've spent my life running around and doing and taking care of others and making things happen. And now is the time that I think I can do what I want. I don't have to spend time with anyone I don't want to. And honestly, my favorite time is spent with myself or my grandkids. I love spending time with my grandkids. I feel blessed. At the heart of it all, the key to being okay with being alone is becoming your own best friend. When was the last time that you took care of you? That you were kind to yourself and really pampered yourself? Give yourself the same love and respect that you would give someone else you like. Also important to notice that I think many people, are so addicted to distractions in this world today, and I think a lot of what you see on social media really kind of breeds loneliness. I think if you limit your amount of time online, you'll start to appreciate your life a little bit more, and it will give you so much more time to learn about yourself and find what really lights you up. And I think that your time alone may start to feel a little bit more special. Now, while I love solitude, sometimes loneliness does find its way in, unfortunately. This is something that I am working on. I do see my grandkids at least once a week, and they fill me with so much joy, and I feel so blessed. I am so grateful to have that relationship. Also, I have one good friend who doesn't have a car, so I go to visit her, and I do try to plan a visit with her at least once every other week. Definitely once a month, and that helps. Our talks really help my soul and bring me such peace. And I take my mom grocery shopping once a week or so, which is always an adventure. All of that seems to be enough for me for the most part, but I do worry about the future. So I do want to figure out some other things that I can do to counteract the occasional loneliness, or maybe it's really more boredom. I think. I would love to hear how you deal with this. When I Google this topic, ideas such as the library come up. When I was younger, I used to actually live at the library. I mean, I loved it. I was there all the time. But to be honest, I actually haven't been to a library in about 5 years now. But apparently they have a number of possible ways to engage, such as computer classes, book clubs, free movies, and that kind of thing. There are also the community centers, and they have all kinds of classes and stuff. There are groups. I could always volunteer. But having said that, I'm actually no longer inclined to joining groups or having standing obligations. I know that finding maybe a group of like-minded people would keep me active and engaged and probably help immensely. But for some reason, I just don't find myself actually wanting to do that. I am keeping these possibilities on the table because I am thinking that I may change my mind in the future. I have learned to never say never. And I do think for many people, these are really great options. The other thing that is super important for me is to get outside. I try to go for a walk every day, and I even love going out and shoveling my snow because it not only gives me exercise, it gives me that time outside breathing in this really cold, fresh air. It all helps me with mental clarity and happiness. When the sun is shining, it uplifts me. And even if it's cloudy and gloomy, it still feels good to just be outside and, commune with nature. Just getting outside helps keep me feeling balanced, and it helps drive away any feelings of loneliness or any oncoming melancholy or gloom. Another thing that lifts my mood and also helps in many other ways is lifting weights. I have osteoporosis, so lifting weights is crucial for me, but it doesn't have to be lifting weights. It could be yoga or Pilates or any other kind of exercise routine. You can find all kinds of great workouts on YouTube. And of course, it could just be a walk outside. I also rebound. It's impossible not to be happy when you're jumping like a kid on a rebounder. I highly recommend it. What I really don't want to do is get used to the feeling of isolation as I age. Solitude and isolation are two different things. Solitude is chosen, but isolation, that's just different. The worst part of isolation is that I could get used to it. I think it could get too comfortable. No drama, no conflicts, no responsibility for maintaining relationships. I think that sounds amazing, but over time, I think it can turn into indifference. And I don't want to be one of those crotchety old women who has no patience or compassion or connection. And I could see myself doing that. One of the things that I have to do is to learn to reach out. I have always been so independent and I think afraid of anyone thinking I needed them. And I've never, ever really learned to reach out. But people are not mind readers. And if I don't reach out to them, they are not going to have any idea when I do need them. So this is something that I absolutely need to work on. Now, on the other hand, I think many people would say, who am I going to reach out to? In my life, I am lucky that there are people I can reach out to, but I think for many, there is no one. So although this is advice, it may not be advice for everyone. Maybe what I should do is get a dog. I think that a dog or cat would help immensely with any feelings of loneliness. But I have been hesitant because of the responsibility. I am so anti-responsibility right now. But definitely something I may do in the future. Let me know if you think having a pet is helpful or even crucial to you living alone. And the last thing I want to say about loneliness is that I have learned the worst thing in life isn't being alone. The worst thing is being surrounded by people who make you feel alone. And then there is the practical side of living alone. It can be overwhelming to know that you are responsible for everything. The bills, the repairs, the housework, the decisions. There is no one else to kill that bug or catch that mouse, or cut the grass or fix the leaky faucet. There is no one else to help with the bills or to negotiate a big purchase like a roof or a new car. And there is no one to help talk you through the decision of buying the car. It's all on you. And that can be hard. Many of us have a friend or relative or our kids that, we can talk to. That can be helpful. I am a pretty independent person, as I said, and although I am open to listen to advice, and I will usually reach out for it if it's a big decision, ultimately, it's me who has to make that final decision. So I have 3 rules that I use for any major decision. Number 1 is to look at all sides of the situation and do any calculations on paper if necessary. Number 2 is always sleep on it, no exceptions. Things always look clear and sometimes a lot different in the morning. And 3, trust your gut. Your gut never lies. And when I've made decision using all 3 of those criteria, the decision was always good. You also have to become your own boss. You decide what gets done and when. I get totally stressed when I have a big list of things to do or when things get messy or cluttered. Here are 3 things that help me stay on top of everything. The first thing I do is every month I pull out my little calendar, and yes, I am old school. It is written down because I do think I remember things better if I write them down. Plus, I keep this in a place where I see it all the time, where if you put it, say, in the notes app on your phone or computer, you tend to ignore it or forget about it. At least I do. Anyway, I write down the most pressing things that I need to get done that month or that I would like to get done. And every week, take a few of those things and put them on my calendar for that week. Plus, I add on all of the other little things that I need to get done. For example, this month on my calendar, I have written find a new doctor, do my taxes. I have a niece, Catherine, who I'm going to go and decorate her bedroom. I have a pile in the basement that I need to either donate or put on eBay. And then I need to call my dermatologist. And then there are some videos that I wanted to do. So I divide them into the weeks, and then I add that along with grocery shopping and laundry and visiting and all that kind of thing. When you divide it up like that, it's pretty painless, and you really do tend to stay on top of stuff. And I keep my calendars for each year, so it's easy for me to go back and see when I did something or even how much I paid for it, because I'll put that in there. Some people would use a house journal, and that I think may even be a better solution, but I just never started that. And this works for me. The second thing is to have a list of people that you can call if something major happens that you can't handle. I used to have such a frugal mindset that I felt that I needed to do everything on my own. I got this from my family. My father did everything and never paid anyone for anything. He even built an addition on our house, and he even dug out the basement for it. He would go to work all day and then come home at night and dig the basement. So you can kind of see where I got this mindset. I still do all of the little things, but I have come to realize that hiring is the way to go for anything that is larger than a little repair. Let the experts who know what they're doing do it. I have a handyman that has worked for me for probably about 8 years now. I initially got him as a recommendation from an old boyfriend, and I honestly don't know what I would do without him. He just makes my life so much easier. I definitely don't want to lose him or piss him off, so I show him I appreciate him by treating him well, and that also means tipping him really well. And this has helped me so much because he is super busy, and somebody is always contacting him for something, but he'll always put me at the top of the list in front of others. Also on the list are, other contractors and services that help me maintain my life and home. It's a list that I've curated over time, and it continues to evolve. And a lot of these people were recommended by family or acquaintances or through the Nextdoor app, if you have that, or Facebook might be a good resource as well. Just make sure that you read reviews and that you try to get several estimates on any big project. Never ever go with the first and only estimate. And make sure you follow the 3 criteria I gave you earlier for making decisions. And the third thing on the list is the monthly bills. I am a budgeter, and I always have been, and now that I am living on a very limited retirement income, I go through my list of expenses both monthly and weekly to make sure that I am staying on track. I make sure that I'm not wasting money on anything that is not necessary. Now, this might not be for everyone, but I do put all of my expenses, and I mean all, including like utilities, internet, etc., on a credit card, and then I pay off the credit card at the end of the month. This way I get the points on all of my expenses, which really tend to rack up, and I can pay for some extras with the points. But the main reason that I do it is that I have a record of every expense, and I can easily go back and tally up what I spent on groceries or gas or whatever and determine where changes can be made. And if you know what you're actually spending and where your money is actually going, it's so much easier to come up with a realistic budget for yourself. Now, please note that if you have a problem with credit cards, this would definitely not be the method that you would want to try. And of course, you can figure out what your spending, is based on your receipts, your checking account, writing things down. There are lots of other little tricks and hacks and strategies to live a luxurious life on the least amount of money. And I actually think that might deserve a video or two on its own. Let me know if you're interested in frugal living videos. The third big issue with living alone is safety. I think, again, I may do a separate video which is dedicated to this topic because it's an important one, and this video is getting a bit too long. But I will say it again, that a dog may be the answer here too. I think I really should think more seriously about getting a dog. So these are just some things to think about when you live alone. The practical side of things can be an annoyance, but there are things that can be hired. I think the more impactful and harder to deal with thing is the solitude. which I think on some days feels like pure freedom, while there are other days that loneliness can creep in. But at the end of the day, you will be the only person who is with you your entire life. So I really believe the key is to learn to love your own company. Because if you do, you'll never feel truly alone. But having said that, at the end of the day, sometimes you just need a hug. Do you like living alone or not? And what are some of your tips for living alone? I would love to hear from you. See you soon.